Well, it's one of the worst feelings a girl can have. You need to go somewhere and you know the hot weather outside.
A reckless driver hit my client who required surgery for a fractured ankle and internal injury. I hammered and got her $83,553.03. You call, I'll hammer.
Call 713-777-4000.
One thing that's also recently up that maybe people are not smiling about, mortgage rates. You know, they've risen a full percentage point above their recent record lows, and that raises costs for borrowers. It also raises questions about the housing recovery. A 30-year fixed mortgage rate now sits at about 4.875%. The 15-year rate is hovering at about 3.5%. Michael Harrington with On Cue Financial is here with his best guess about where interest rates are going and some advice for folks who may be still on the fence about deciding what they should do. So we've seen recently these record lows finally come back to a little bit closer to 5%. So let me ask you, first of all, there's been just a flurry of people refinancing their property. Have you seen that slow down a lot?
Yeah, it's slowed down incredibly. I think we're going to see refis from 30s to 30s really slow down. I still think the 30 to 15 will still be a advantageous project.
Because if you could lower it from like a 30-year at 5-point-something% now down to 3.5 at 15, that's still a pretty good deal.
It'd be close. It'd be close to your payment. It'd still be a little bit higher, but the thousands of dollars you save over the life of the loan for 15 years is almost the size of a lottery ticket.
All right, well that's big. All right, well let's get down to your predictions. Obviously, there's been some volatility lately. Do you think that this is a trend that rates are going to be headed upward, or could they go back down again?
Well, in the last couple of days, we've seen the trend come back a little bit. So the rubber band has kind of retracted from what it's done in the last 2 weeks. But I do think we're going to see some small increases, small decreases. It is volatile. It's not usually moving with the stock market like it did last week, which is unusual. So I think we're going to see some volatility still until we see some stabilization.
When rates go up, obviously, it's bad for borrowers. So what does that mean for somebody that's looking to buy a home and now, let's say, rates have gone up 1% on them?
Their borrowing power is going to be a little bit less. They're not going to be able to borrow as much. But when you look at the increase in the Houston area, which is an amazing increase in value lately, we've seen a lot of multiple offers on houses in various parts like Woodlands, Sugar Land, Katy. We've seen those price points go up. I think with the increase in equity that they're going to have, I still think it's advantageous for people to think about buying right now.
What are the options as far as loans go? You know, obviously you have the 30-year fixed, which seems to be sort of the standard that everybody goes to. What about adjustable rate mortgages? Those got a very, very horrible reputation from what happened from 2006, 2007, that era. Are people still taking ARMs, or is there a place for ARMs?
You know, ARMs were popular on the East and West Coast because of affordability. They weren't very popular in Texas. We saw a lot of fixed rates over the last 15 years. But I would say ARMs are a great prospect right now, especially a 10 or a 5-year ARM. People should be asking about those ARMs, the sheet that you're seeing here. Obviously, it doesn't look as volatile as a stock market. It's been pretty stable. I think either a 5 or a 10-year ARM. Again, it still depends upon how long someone's going to stay in a property. If they're only going to stay in it for 5 years, they should look at the 5-year ARM.
Is it hard to get a mortgage these days, or have the lending expectations eased a little bit?
I wouldn't say they've eased at all. I'd say that right now with the credit requirements being a lot higher, it's a lot more difficult for a buyer that's maybe just straight out of college trying to get a mortgage, because a lot of them don't have credit. They don't know to go get a credit card and start saving money. So unfortunately, it does require a little bit more now than it did before. Paperwork's a lot more intrusive. I feel like we're nearly asking for someone's firstborn child.
Wow.
That's coming later. So, but I still think that people should, I mean, rates are still, from a historical standpoint, so much lower now than they were in the 80s and the 90s. The younger generation, people getting out of college, don't realize that because they've seen the 3s and the 4s for so long.
Sure.
But I still think that if you talk to your grandparents, you talk to your parents, they're going to tell you, look, a 4, a 5.
Still pretty incredible.
Amazing.
Now, Michael, let me ask you this. I was talking to one of our experts from a previous hour, Chris Schilling, who is a realtor, and he says that echoing what you said just a moment ago, that there are so many offers on properties. I mean, these properties are going up, and there's like a bidding war. Have you come across where the property doesn't appraise for what somebody has offered?
Yeah, and the unfortunate there is that in the last 2 months, we've seen a lot more offers than we had more than 2 months ago. So the problem is that your appraisals can go back up to 6 months for comps. So unfortunately, a lot of the price points have gone up because people are offering more money. They want to get the deal. They've maybe lost 3 or 4 houses before. They're going to offer more than list price.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the appraisals are going to have comparables that go back more than 2 months before those price points hit. So yeah, I'm preparing buyers right now and telling them they need to save at least 10 to 20,000 over and above whatever their down payment is, just in case the appraisal comes in low.
Wow, good stuff. All right, well, his name is Michael Harrington with On Q Financial if you want to contact him. Hey, are you on Twitter?
I am. It's Anselon, A-N-S-E-L-O-N. That's my legal name. So Anselon on Twitter. So
Easy to remember.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, Michael. All right, Melissa.
Well, it's one of the worst feelings a girl can have. You need to go somewhere and you know the hot weather outside